Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Let's see. I'm gonna log in, make sure Danielle could tell me if you could hear me. Oh, I hate that when this happens. Can you hear me now? She's working on sound now. Okay. Good. Okay. All right. So I hope that works. So what I was saying is that I was talking about Major General Clem Coward. I was talking about how Richard being a whistleblower, being exposed, illegally exposed, and that we believe that that was by Special Agent Tavita Nusa. We have very good, I hope he comes on. But see, he's been silent. And we believe that he was assigned to Richard when Richard made the complaint to the Child Protective Services and turned in sex videos and triggered the IG to be all over the barracks. Now my video is not working. I'm having all kinds of problems. Let me see if I can turn this off. Is my video not working? Echo. Bad echo. Is it echoing now? Is that better? Jeez, I'm having all kinds of trouble now. Okay. Let's put in a video. Is that better? No, it's not better. Is that better? That's better now? Okay. Okay, I think. And I don't know why it's so dark. Okay, can you hear me? No sound. Okay, I'm going to begin again. Better, no echo. Okay. And I'm hoping, let's see if this is, oh, yep. Okay, that's all right. It's getting it clear now. Okay, good. Yay. Okay. This is day 994. 994 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And I'm trying to figure out how Major General Clem Coward is part of this. So we know that Veronica Escobar, Cover Up Veronica, is definitely part of this because we know that Richard's remains have been found. Okay? I'm getting a few places that where his remains were found, and a few different dates. And what I was saying is this is not ludicrous. If we have a 21-year-old that's in the National Guards that lives at home with his parents, and he can go on and get the most sensitive intelligence that our nation has and share it on a Discord and then could be called a criminal, whereas the 44 four-star generals and admirals that are so bloated, we have so many of them that they have everything has failed. Even the security of our intelligence is a failure. And that they're not being held accountable. Where is the fugitive apprehension group, or the big SWAT team from the I want to say the sheriff's office? Who's the one that went after this 21-year-old? And they didn't call him and say, hey, call the parents, say, hey, your son Joey, or Texera, right? Texera, your son Texera, he's sharing some sensitive information about us committing crimes in Ukraine. That the Pentagon is committing crimes in Ukraine. It's not enough. It's not enough that they have committed crimes against humanity. It's not enough that that they were putting everybody in danger, that they weren't taking orders like they should have, these 44 four-star generals and admirals. It's not enough that we've given them everything and they've taken advantage of us and have betrayed us. That's not enough. But they didn't call and say, hey, can you bring your son in? Can you tell your son Texera to come on in? No, they have to send this big unit and have the media. Of course, the media, they'll, snap the fingers. The Pentagon snaps the fingers and the media's there. And sometimes they even stage it. But this was definitely a real life kind of staged event. Definitely. And they did it. They absolutely arrested him for going on Discord and saying, hey, look at y'all. This is how our Pentagon is lying to us. Is lying to us. We have boots on the ground in Ukraine. And monies are not going where they're supposed to go. So this young man, who they're going to tear up, I think, I don't know. We need to stand by him, because they're going to make an example out of him, while they get away with crimes against humanity and not even being able to secure our intelligence, our most sensitive intelligence. And what did that intelligence show? For months, 2 to 3 months, he was doing it, y'all. They can't even secure it. Wow. So I'm thinking, okay, these are the worst type of criminals. This leadership. You have cover up Veronica, who absolutely had a duty to help us, who did meet with us because we asked. And other things happen, and we're now telling her what her duty is at almost 1,000 days. And then we're having to tell Bill Hicks what his duty is. He hasn't even reached out to us. And of course, we become victims. And we have Jaime Esparza, who was, greenlit by Ted Cruz. And I wonder if they even talked. And he has not even reached out to us. He has not even helped us. And we have then Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe never telling us that our son was a whistleblower, never informing us that our son's rights as a whistleblower under the Whistleblower Protection Act was so violated, and that he was illegally exposed to put him in crazy danger that not only was he put into danger right flat in the middle of a child sex abuse, criminal divorce family ordeal, but that somehow other people are involved in this. somehow there's even bigger connections, because we have the El Paso police report saying that Leilani Hart was bragging how she's controlling the CID right there on Fort Bliss. What else was she controlling? Was she controlling Major General Clem Coward? That's what I want to know, because no way would a 2-star general give a distinguished honor graduate from basic training in AIT, 20-year-old, with one counseling slip, which I think is a setup. Would you give a counseling slip for a 0.04 BAC? Would you write that? I would be embarrassed. That would be insulting, right? Would you write that? No way. No way. But he gave Richard a GOMAR, which means you didn't have to have anything to back it up, right? And GOMOR, General Order Memorandum of Reprimand. And what happens with that is if you get a GOMAR, then you're flagged. That means you can't go to schools, you can't get promoted, you can't aspire in the military at all for a duration of time. Okay? When you leave that post or after that time is up, then the flags are lifted, and then you can pursue the schools, you can get into different programs, you can get promoted, you can aspire in your career as in the military. But if that GOMAR is made permanent, the flags are never lifted. So your career is done. And that's what happened to Richard. For, and they were using this police report from his DUI. But where was the counseling slips then? And why was there only one counseling slip about that night that said 0.04, and it did not, nothing jived. Nothing jived. And that's how they're going to destroy a soldier? Totally destroy. And that's why the chaptering started. That's why the chaptering started in April. Okay? And then came the field grade Article 15. So it was continuous severe retaliation. That is a severe retaliation, a permanent GOMAR that leads to a chaptering out of the military. And then a field grade Article 15 when he's never gotten an Article 15. He's never gotten, from his captain. He's never gotten extra duty. What's going on? So for turning in child protective service complaints, he's going to get, it all makes sense, a field grade Article 15. Now, field grade Article 15 can have different punishments. Well, they gave Richard the max, which was retaliation. 3 ranks. What that did is, here he was being chaptered out. They stripped him of his ranks so that they set him up to be bullied. They set him up totally to be bullied. Stripped him of his rank. And then they prolonged. He was in the 4th month of chaptering. That's insane. Insane. So what were they doing through that time period? I'm thinking that they were colluding. They were colluding how to really get rid of Richard. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this whole murder was premeditated, because it required, the way they decided to chop him up and put him in different places, and then even cross the country, cross the border into Mexico. How they even decided to do that? I think this was all one big colluded, planned murder. And we have information about the dates that these remains, these parts. Can you believe that I am on Facebook and I'm on TikTok, and I have to say, FBI, U.S. Army, give me the remains of my brutally murdered, dismembered son? And I'm going to talk for Rob and I. Give us our brutally murdered, give us our illegally exposed, severely retaliated against, premeditated, murdered, dismembered son. I have to get on TikTok and Facebook and Rumble and Telegram and whatever, and say, and YouTube and Twitter, and say, give us U.S. Army, cover up Veronica Escobar, D.A. Hicks, Bill Hicks. What about Greg McDonald? What about Jaime Esparza, the AG? What about Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe? What about Lieutenant General? They got stars for this, y'all. They got stars for this collusion, for this cover-up. Okay? Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, the worst type of criminal, and Lieutenant General Donna Martin. And I'm thinking Major General Clem Coward. I'm thinking absolutely he's involved in this. What about Lieutenant Colonel Roddick, who signed off on that field grade Article 15? These are big names. Lieutenant Colonel, right? Major General Clem Coward, Lieutenant Colonel Roddick, and Major General Clem Coward, Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, Lieutenant General Donna Martin, General McConville, General Mealy. This all had to be planned, coordinated with them, to plan with those 15 plus agencies, plus to plan it with Mexico, at the Mexican army, the Mexican government. They had to plan all this together, y'all. And I have to be on social media and say U.S. Army, FBI, Department of Justice, and all the rest of them, give us our whistleblower, illegally exposed whistleblower, severely continuously retaliated against whistleblower, and premeditated murdered and dismembered and dumped into different places son. Now, if this doesn't deserve the death penalty to be put on the table and legally dealt out, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. It's just so bad. And the silence is deafening. Where are, and for years, we've been waiting for official documents. When Richard was put into cold case, because that was part of the cover-up, of course, why couldn't we get a summary of why they put him in cold case? You know why? Because it would have been a lie. it would have been a lie. Why couldn't we get an after action report of all of these agencies, especially the U.S. Marshals, especially the FBI, especially the Sheriff's Department there in El Paso? Why couldn't we get their participation, a summary of their participation in our son's case? And then, the El Paso police report saying that Leilani Hart was running things in the CID office there at Fort Bliss. What else was she running? Who else was she running? And I've invited her to call me to speak. And we absolutely know that Tavita Nusa, well, I'm absolutely sure, because I have these sources, and so many of them, that Tavita Nusa was assigned to Richard's case as a whistleblower for child protection, to stop child sex abuse, to stop child pornography. And he violated his position, and he violated Richard's rights under the Whistleblower Protection Act, because whistleblowers have to be protected. And that's why this 21-year-old that just blew the whistle on another failure of our bloated Pentagon, he needs to be protected. But they just exposed him. They illegally exposed him. And he absolutely can be called a whistleblower. Absolutely. Because what he exposed was crimes. Absolute crimes. Just like what Richard exposed was crimes. But it seems like their standard operating procedure is to put their young volunteer sons and daughters in harm's way. Not only put them in harm's way, but continuously, severely retaliate against them, make them suffer. And that if that's not enough, plot and scheme and collude to do away with them permanently. And with Vanessa Guillen, you have to understand they went to great lengths. They poured lime over her remains. The reason why they poured lime and then concrete over her remains is so that the smell would not attract animals. But they failed. I don't know if they didn't mix properly. Maybe they mixed too much sand, or maybe they did weird things. I don't know, but it didn't work. Praise God. But with Richard, what they decided to do was dismember him and put him in different locations, so only partial remains would be found. And some of those partial remains were in Mexico. Now, that is the information that we're getting. That's the information that we're getting, and we have begged and asked and inquired. And I've been saying, is the FBI hiding the remains of our son? I've been saying that for a long time, right, y'all? I've been saying that for a long time. And we have the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado of the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM that says he's with the FBI, and that the FBI, They were looking for Richard in different places, right? But they found him, and it's not good. He's dead. Shh. He's dead. Shh. It all makes sense, right? It makes sense. They were hiding him. Shh. It makes sense that there's different locations. And what they found were parts of my son. And now they've subjected us to this torture. Because they knew all of this in 2020. This all took place in 2020, y'all. Finding Richard's remains happened in 2020. And so the torture, the absolute lies, the subjecting us to vile and vulgar harassment, threats, intimidation, asymmetric warfare tactics, military operations. If this doesn't require people to seriously think about doling out the death penalty, and praise God that Texas has a death penalty, then I don't know what does. Tears and tears and tears and tears and tears. So, we've got, we have some questions about another vehicle in this scheme of things. Which is interesting. So, I'm just showing you a few things we're working on because I have to be transparent, because they've put us in so much danger that I hope you're taking screenshots. I hope that you're seeing what's going on. This point here is 11.26540 kilometers from the OXO. Remember the OXO point? Yeah. Remember, this is a very interesting area. We've had leads that led us to this area. Now we have another lead that leads us to this area. We also have some things in the El Paso area. I'm just wondering if it was like, okay, we're going to cut Richard up in pieces and we'll put him in some boxes or some bags or whatever. And you take this bag and you take this bag and I'll take this bag and we'll just, distribute him. How many people did it take to do this? And somebody had to have some kind of surgical experience, right? And then, if things got out of hand, were they going to have one fall guy? I don't know. It's just so evil. And we're having to come on social media day in and day out and ask these kind of questions. But we absolutely know that they found Richard's remains in 2020. And who has his remains? Who is keeping his remains? Because over and 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 over again, the sources are that they have Richard's remains. So what did they do with his remains? We want his remains. We're going to have a prayer vigil in a few days for the Thousands Day. And we have put out a t-shirt. This is, it's so weird because we put out this t-shirt and then all of this stuff started pouring in and everything started making sense. And our timeline, you know, everything was starting to be filled in, why they did the things that they did, because they already had Richard's remains. And so we definitely need to have legal action here. And we need discovery. And so we're working on a lot of things behind the scenes. And I hope that all of you are so patient with us because we don't have $1 trillion access to all kinds of agencies and all kinds of boots on the ground and all kinds of, you know, we have Team Find Richard Halliday. And we've got to get this done, but it takes us longer than what, you know, if we would have Cover Up Veronica on our side, we could get things done quicker. If we would have the DA, Bill Hicks, on our side, we could get things quicker. If we had the media on our side, we could get things quicker. If we had Jaime Esparza on our side, things would get done and we could get things done quicker. But we have been abandoned and put in harm's way by our own. And if we would have had Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe on our side and his team of SJAs and his power, we could have got things done. If we would have had Ted Cruz on our side, Lindsey Graham on our side, William Timmons on our side, we could get things done too. But really, Cover Up Veronica, because she has a lot of power. And, you know, her husband, there's a conflict of interest because he works with, I think it's, I wrote it down. I think he does immigration. He reviews immigrations, you know, I guess he's an immigration officer, review officer or something like that. And I think there's a lot of conflicts between all of this. They're, you know, double dipping. They're double dipping and they live in the same home. And, you know, I don't know. That's just a thought. That's just a thought. But a major thought that I have is, who is Major General Clem Coward and what role did he play in this besides contributing to the continuous severe retaliation against a whistleblower that had been illegally exposed and who was trying to whistleblow to help children not be sexually abused? Why would you want to severely retaliate against a legally exposed whistleblower from a CID special agent at that, being run by a female, very, very intimate friend? Why would he retaliate like that? Who is he and what part does he have to play in this? Because our information comes back that some other people asked the same question, but these people were not just a simple mom, wanting the remains of her son, but that they were people of power. And they were asking the questions. If, we know. How cold-blooded. Oh, yeah, give me a star, give me 2 stars, and I'll cover that up for you. How cold-blooded. How absolutely cold-blooded. Oh, yeah, you help me with my election. I'll cover that up for you. Oh, yeah, you appoint me, and I'll cover up that for you. What? This is like, isn't it treason? It's treason. No integrity. No integrity. Was the 15 agencies called to Castner Range? No, there was no op-ord. You see, and, I'm not yelling at you or anything like that, Danielle. I'm just, if you only knew the emotions you go through, and you have to tell yourself, you've got to stay calm, and then you've got to find joy day to day because you have beautiful grandchildren, and you have other children, and you have a beautiful husband, a marvelous husband, and you have a wonderful mother that really needs you right now. You need to stay calm. You need to find joy. And you need to stay resolute to find Richard. So when I saw that, the task force Find Richard Halliday, which was the 15 plus agencies, there was never an op-ord. Okay, there was never an op-ord. So Castner Range, who went and looked for the remains of Richard? Well, we have information on that. And I don't know, the CID did a lot. We know the FBI did. The FBI and the CID did a lot of looking and finding. And we know that let's just say, with the upcoming events that we're going to have, we're hoping to speak with the Mexican government. We can clarify some things. And, we have information. And maybe we'll get some answers. Because we have names, we have locations. We've uncovered so much. And it's been hell doing it. But at the same time, a huge blessing. Somehow, some way, the ramifications of this are going to be good, because everything that we have done, we've really tried to do for good. We've tried to do it for the glory of God. We've tried to do it for all the right reasons. It wasn't for another star. It wasn't for some kind of promotion. It wasn't for some kind of election. It wasn't for money. I mean, if this was about money, I could have been focused on campaigning all kinds of stuff for money.
demanding whatever people made on things that we donated, that money's be returned to us or something. But that's not the case. And so I really truly believe that however this ends, because they put us in major danger, y'all. Major. We're talking about generals trying to preserve their position. We're talking about political leaders trying to preserve their position. People in the Pentagon trying to preserve their position. We're talking about so many. And there's many, many more, especially in the media, that will have to answer to God on this one. Oh, yeah. It's so rotten to the core. But everything is fitting together, and it's fitting like a glove. It fits like a glove. And you remember with the OJ case, if the glove doesn't fit, then you must acquit or something like that. Well, this glove fits. Everything is fitting. Except for their response and their evil. It's so bad. So if you have any questions, and thank you for notifying me that you couldn't hear me, or, and I don't know why the camera's so kind of, maybe I'm having trouble with that. Maybe that's what triggered it. Okay. Thank you, Danielle. Basically, by prolonging his discharge to allow others to treat him poorly, in my opinion. Oh, yeah. And we knew. See, this is where knowing about the military came in very, very handy for us. Not so much me, but for Rob. Rob knows the military, and our friends know the military, and they were like, "What? What?" No, that's not right. And Rob really got the date during the meeting for the chaptering, and it was before the Article 15. And and then you see they had so much time. They had so much time to reorganize because they changed commands and everything like that. Okay, they didn't flag that whole Fort Bliss when this was happening during Vanessa. They started moving everybody around, which is so damaging to try to solve a case or try to get answers. So they got rid of Major General Clem Coward. They got rid of whatever his name is, the one. And, David Stewart, Brigadier General David Stewart, he didn't know what the heck was going on. He was not briefed. He was brought in a rush job. And he was just pinned on a one-star general. So, yeah, and they clicked his heels together. They showed him who's who. And shame on him. Shame on him for valuing. What comes around goes around. And if you do this kind of stuff, the consequences are so severe and they come back and haunt you. I can't believe that he did that because he's a really nice guy. But, he's just a monster now. He's the worst type of criminal now. Makes me cry. Was the 15... So the Kastner Range is interesting. And all as soon as I really, really hone in on these positions, I'll have to. I have to release everything because we have no recourse but Team Find Richard Halliday. Team Find Richard Halliday is we rely on you to share, to get this word out, to protect us. You are our protectors. And we thank you so much for that. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I had some. Let me see what, since I'm display, I wanted to show you. There's our beautiful son there. Doesn't he look great? I wanted to show you this.
Mismanaged aircraft design or production maintenance. AI is more dangerous than, say, mismanaged aircraft design or production maintenance or bad car production, in the sense that it has the potential, however small one may regard that probability, but it is non-trivial. It has the potential of civilizational destruction.
I thought that was interesting. Jack Teixeira, the Ukraine whistleblower, exposed Biden illegally putting U.S. troops in Ukraine without congressional authorization per the War Powers Resolution of 1973, an impeachable offense. His patriotism may end up stopping WW3. He doesn't deserve jail time. He deserves an award. I thought that was interesting. And then this here.
The border, this particular area has been pretty hot lately, with a lot of drug smuggling and human loads being driven up to I-10. So I'm up here to kind of witness some of that.
Okay, so if you haven't seen this, it's right there along I-10. This is New Mexico where he's at. And it is bad with drug smuggling and human trafficking. And of course, when you're mentioning human trafficking, it's going to be child sex trafficking. Of course, we have 20,000 unaccounted for children there from Fort Bliss. This is also a huge crime. What else do people need to know to take action against Cover Up Veronica? Where is the phone call? Where is, the silence is deafening because she knows that we know the crimes that she has committed are so atrocious. And that's why she would never, I don't think she will ever respond to our letter. Because if we have a hearing, she is, she was part of it, y'all. She was part of it. We want our whistleblowing son that cared for children, that didn't want children to be sexually abused. We want him. We want our son that was illegally exposed by a CID agent that was entrusted with his life. We want our son that was put in harm's way and was retaliated against severely and continuously by his own command as high as his general. And that wasn't enough for them. They had to do it even more. And to collude and conspire and premeditate to murder him and dismember him and hide his remains and keep it a secret, and then pretend with asymmetric warfare tactics and military operations that they care for our service members and that they care for family. But everything they did, they messed up on. They failed and exposed themselves as the cold-blooded murderers that they are. That they are. And we want his remains. Yeah. We have a list of FOIAs. And so keep reminding us. Yeah. So we're getting there. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for reminding us. Thank you so much for praying for us, and pray and pray. And I'll let you know when this prayer vigil is, 1,000 days. And oh yes, I forgot to mention that, of course, oh yeah, this spy thing. Oh yeah. Go. That we do have. Isn't that a great picture? I love that. We do have 1,000 letters for 1,000 days to get the IG, Michael Horowitz, involved in this. And it's so, there it is, right there. So take a snapshot of that. And please write a letter. It's not too late. You can write a letter. You can express it off, and just ask him to inspect the investigation of Find Richard Halliday, where they hid the case from the public and the remains. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I'll be back on tomorrow.